Young John Connor, the human resistance has sent the Terminator itself.
My mission is to protect you.
Who sent you?
You did.
This is deep.
Playing the role of young John Connor is newcomer Eddie Furlong.
It's almost in a way the classic story. I mean, he literally was just plucked off the streets of Pasadena and whipped into the vortex of making a movie.
And Jim said, Eddie, I was going to tell you Friday, but don't tell anybody. But we picked you for this film. And I felt like hugging Jim, but he's a guy, so I didn't hug him.
Cast with less than a month before production, Eddie began an intense period of preparation. In addition to his regular education, he received physical training, acting lessons, and motorcycle classes.
Funny thing is, I'm sure it's nothing like anything he ever expected, and it's a total left turn in his life. But on the other hand, children have this remarkable capacity to just deal with things, whatever life throws them. They don't know how the world is supposed to be yet, so they just think that's okay. You know, it can be like this if it wants.
You've got to have good actors as they're playing against all the special effects. That's what distinguishes his action movies from other people's action movies. I remember that Jim said to me very early on, John Connor is an extremely important role, and I have got to have a young actor who is a professional who will hit his marks. I cannot be working with a new kid. I can't do it. And one of the problems is that this is supposed to be a streetwise kid, and a kid who was a bit tough. And we saw all of these professional kids who couldn't have any toughness. And when they tried to act angry or tough, it just looked ridiculous. It didn't look real. It didn't look believable.
What I was looking for is a combination of a kind of a strength of character that wasn't necessarily a physical strength. I didn't want him to be just some little jock kid that looked like he could handle anything. He had to have a quality that needed protecting.
This was in the summertime, and one thing that I ended up doing was going to camps, motocross races, and then we decided we would start looking, in addition to theaters, at some kinds of organizations like Boys and Girls Clubs. And it was at that point that we contacted the Boys Club in Pasadena. And then I started walking around, and there was a kid leaning up against the wall by the pool.
This woman started staring at me, and I thought she was so weird, because she just stared at me and smiled at me, and I'm just like, yeah.
And I walked over to him, and he was snarling at me. And I said, you want to audition for a movie?
A couple days later, we get a call. Remember that woman you talked to in the Pasadena Boys Club? And I'm like, yeah. And then she's, well, that's the casting director for Terminator 2. They want you to go up for the part of John Connor. And I'm just like, yeah. I went in for my first interview. Then I get a call later, and Mally Finn says, I want you to come out and try out with Linda Hamilton. So I went and tried out for it again and got really bashful and kind of shy, and I didn't do so well, and I almost got written off the list.
It was exactly what Jim was afraid of, that he couldn't repeat things right away. It was terribly difficult. He was very nervous.
Mally kept fighting for me, and she said, just give him one more chance, and I got an acting coach. We
found this wonderful man, Mike Muscat, who came in and worked with Eddie for a while, and we brought him back. He came in and did the scenes again.
I went in for my final interview, and I was really nervous. I looked around, and Jim's just like, you know, I could just see the look on people's faces, and then I just kind of just brightened up and did the part, and Jim lifted his head from his hands, and I left. And then right when I was getting in the car, Jim came out, and he said, you have the part.
Hand in hand. And Tommy Fisher, he's knowledgeable, he's safe. And when it comes to designing rigs, he's done it for so many years that it makes me feel comfortable.
Good luck back, Eddie.
What's up? I don't know if he's changed it.
Lucas has come out into the street and gets whacked this way.
I mean, like, if I get into trouble...
Help, I measured over to the guy table.
Okay, here we go.
Rear projection is a very old-fashioned technique, and a lot of people don't use it anymore, but we used it on Terminator 2, and it gives you a great deal of control and safety with the actors. And you can do some pretty outrageous stuff that you couldn't really do. I mean, you couldn't put an actor up on top of a moving car on a soundstage. In a night scene especially, where you can get away with more visually with rear projection. It just gives you a lot more control. So I would definitely prefer rear projection versus, say, blue screen composite, because I can manipulate the elements, you know, through the lens.
So this is, you see, there's a mirror image, there's a camera here, there's a camera here, there's you here, there's Linda there.
Why, Arnold?
You getting tired of it? Is that the deal?
Okay, I'm just trying to get it out of the camera.
No, it's okay. We like the light of the camera. We like the light of the camera.
It took a while to make Eddie feel at ease with me, because he has seen so many of my films and he felt kind of intimidated. And so I paid a lot of attention to that and made a real effort to play around on a set a lot with Eddie and play games with him and talk to him a lot and be like a big brother to him, to make him look at me like a friend, like a fellow actor that he's working with, that he can have fun with. So that within a short period of time after we started filming, he felt very much at ease. His acting got much better because of that. We had a much better relationship with our scenes, which was very crucial. So, and he had a fantastic acting coach, and I think that Jim Cameron paid a lot of attention to his work and to his acting.
You always go immediately after playing.
Is this your first shot, kid? Woo! First of many. Yeah, action.
Actual temperatures in the mill averaged 42 degrees, making it difficult for the actors to work up a sweat.
Turn around.
Let me see you unless you get to this side. Just come from
Ruth, stay up there.
So Nazi's upstairs.
Action!
See what's going on. Okay, I just need to know.
Now, the way he goes about directing.
I told you not to come.